All right, we're live.
All right.
Good to be online and stuff like that. Um, Very quickly, before we begin the show, there's been a lot of news going around lately. Seems like the bad the bad news of Scalebound has passed, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, Nintendo Switch has taken its place. Surprisingly, I don't know why so many people dislike this console. We loved it, but I guess when you look at it overall, you start looking at the accessories and all the extra money. You start asking yourself, what the hell is Nintendo doing price wise? The online is not something that's desirable, and there's just a lot of things that just wasn't impressive later on after the show. Gaming wise, look fantastic and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
afterwards, you're just looking at everything that they're doing. Is almost like, and I said this on Twitter, it's almost like Microsoft and PlayStation's in 2017, and Nintendo was stuck in 2005, which is just weird to me.
At least
So
they're
it's just
advancing
crazy,
slowly.
Yeah, little baby steps, man. Little
bro.
baby steps. You
Come
gotta
on,
remember, man, they're the oldest one in the game, man. So they kind of stuck in their ways.
I don't know,
Hey,
man. I
what
don't
does that
know.
mean? Like in like 15 years, they'll be in the golden age.
Yeah, man. It
Like,
might,
right?
it
Oh
might,
my
it might take that long.
dude, I will not sit around for Nintendo to catch up to PlayStation and Xbox, bro. That is insane. Anybody that's gonna wait that long is losing their mind for Nintendo to catch up. It's terrible. It's like Nintendo is not even in college. It's like they're in high school playing high school ball, and you know PlayStation and NBA and PlayStation and Xbox is in the big league, the NBA, the NFLs. Like it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it's crazy. Yeah, man. So hey, I appreciate everybody stopping out. Fastback, what's up? Fall boys, what's going on? Definitely next super pod shot is gonna be crazy. As soon as I get around to it. So tonight we got a few things we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about some Phil Spencer. We're gonna talk about some Titanfall. We're gonna talk about some Resident Evil 7. And we'll touch on some release dates and Nintendo Switch as we go along with that, and maybe reevaluate a little bit of what we thought when we did the review show. And by the way, listen to that show again. I never realized how often I said the word bro. I swear to God, I said bro like 137 times in that show. It was insane how many times I said bro. I was listening to myself like, this is disgusting. Like, I've never heard myself say this word this many times. I must have been really into whatever I was watching because I was not paying attention at all. Just
Yeah,
funny stuff.
apparently, we were watching the correct stream. I don't know what everyone else was watching. We were having a good time.
We were having fun. That was an
Yeah.
awesome show. Yeah, we were definitely having a good time. So, all right, let's start the show. Let's not keep the pre-show going too long. And once again, I want to thank everybody for stopping in. Big shout out to what is it? Fall. I want to say Fall, but I know it's Foul Davikin. Appreciate you stepping in, of course, and R2C25 and the crew. Listen, very grateful you guys stopping in tonight, hanging out with us. We're gonna get the show started right now. Thank you for listening to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, the last on the planet Xbox, with B Money 101
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
and Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody, how you guys doing tonight?
And we are your Inner Circle team. Before we get started, man, I gotta say something. You know, we finally completed the podcast team for the PlayStation podcast. I got into a spat on TICGN because I put up a poll on what should be the name for this podcast and let the fans vote. So we had three names. So the first name was the Platinum Trophy Podcast. The second name was the Circle Back Podcast, and the third name was the We Got Exclusives Podcast. Well, in the end, the Platinum Trophy Podcast was the name that was picked. Unfortunately, there seems to be another PlayStation podcast out there called the Platinum Podcast. And look, it's no disrespect to those guys, man. I just didn't appreciate, and I don't know why people assume this. They act like I knew who they were. like they came on and said, you know, how could you, like, I don't know if it was like, how could you copy, or why are you copying, or at least you can give us a shout out, or DM us. And I don't know you. Like what? Like what are you talking about right now? I have no idea who you are. I know nothing about your show. Like, dude, you act like I know every podcast that's out there. If you know something, hit me up and say, hey, we have a show similar. Do you mind changing the show? Don't just assume that I know who you are and I listen to your show. Like, bro, who I really was sitting there saying, like, who are you? Honestly. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to try to be bigger than somebody, but honestly, I didn't know who they were. So it was just weird that they came out of nowhere, kind of like trying to, go ham and defend their honor. Like, bro, like relax. I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. But that was pretty funny. But what we're going to go with, I have decided to go with the Trophy Life podcast. I like that name. I think that's pretty dope. The Trophy Life. So that will be called the TTL podcast, and we will be shooting that first episode. Will be hitting the Tick Network in February. We have a cool cast. I'll let those guys introduce themselves when the show drops, and that will go on the new Tick Network RSS feed sometime in February. We'll feature Tick Podcast, Double XP, which is our debate show, Xbox versus PlayStation. Yes, we do have one of those shows, which is pretty crazy. Multiverse podcast, and then the Trophy Life podcast, and you can find all of those on one network coming up in February. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. I'm very proud of that. So let's jump into the show. So Phil Spencer has been dropping hints all week on Twitter. He's been talking up a storm, and honestly, after the blowback from Scalebound, I understand why he's doing it. You want to reassure the base. You want to be able to let guys know, listen, I'm not scared. I'm here. I'm talking and things like that. I would rather see them put a show together and show some of the stuff that they're talking about. But there's been hints, 2 big hints. And one of them, surprisingly, is something I wasn't expecting. So one of the big surprises that they talked about, or one of the things he's hinting at, is MechAssault. After all the talk of MechAssault's not in production, MechAssault is not doing anything, they've been talking about MechAssault, and it's surprising that it's come out of nowhere. On top of that, we're hearing that we may be getting Phantom Dust Remaster before E3, which is great. That's great. If you're into Phantom Dust, I haven't played it before, but I'm definitely intrigued by it. He's saying the remaster's coming along pretty nicely. They dropped that before E3. You have the remastered of Phantom Dust. I'm pretty sure you'll have the remaster of Voodoo Vince probably before E3 as well, because that looks pretty close to being done the way it showed anyway from some of the game footage that we've seen. And then you have Halo Wars 2. Now listen, I'm not saying that's something that's just gonna outright bolster the lineup, but it's a few games to play and hold you down to E3 until the big AAA titles come out at the end of the year. So I just find it.
Let's go into the wording though. Like the wording is interesting because it's always someone asking about it. He doesn't just come out about it. These are people asking for these things.
Right.
Like in response to the Phantom Dust one, someone said, bought an Xbox One for Phantom Dust. Any idea when the remake is coming out? And the exact wording was, Shannon Loftus owns the date. We'd like to have you playing before E3 this year.
I mean, that's great. That's great to hear.
And so whenever so Phil, in response to the MechAssault question, says, hey, do you think MechAssault will ever make a return on new systems? Phil says, I do. And he says, another response, he says, the mech world is just too rich to not come back to gaming at some point, in my opinion.
He said Mech Warrior?
The mech world.
Oh, the mech world.
Capital M, saying the MechAssault world.
Listen, do you know Well, first of all, I know a lot of people know that Microsoft owns the Mech Warrior franchise. They leased this game out to third parties, which to me is insane. It's insane to me. I can't comprehend why they don't just make a new Mech Warrior. You lost Titanfall. I'm not saying it has to be another Titanfall, but I think of games like Armored Core, which was amazing back in the day, and I'm sure B could agree with that. But I look at that, and if you were able to somehow revitalize the Mech Warrior series, and I know there's a third party making a new Mech Warrior game right now because I recently saw it, I think that would just be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the time to, strike on that. Titanfall was kind of released in a weird position this year, and it kind of got overlooked. And I think if you come back and show something that's like crazy amazing and get everybody jump on board, you got to strike while the iron's hot. So I think it's kind of smart for him to say that, you know, we could see one down the pipeline.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like the big issue with mechs. There's a lot of mech games coming out, and like having Hawken come out on Xbox recently, and then having Titanfall 1 and 2. It has to work on what the mech games are not doing, which is building your own mech, like getting parts. Like I could imagine a mech assault game where it's kind of like a Pink's Road Race kind of situation, where it's like you go into an arena, you fight this dude, and you have a part on the line. You lose that part, but if you win, you get the other person's part, and you add it to your machine, to your mech, and you make it bigger, you make it better. Like I would love a game like that, but you make it more of like an arena fighter.
An arena fighter, but just listen, a game like this has to be a story. People are clamoring for single player experiences on Xbox One. And listen, we know Microsoft is the king of multiplayer and co-op. But I just think that, man, I do love the idea though. You have to implement that. But I just think that a single player experience would be awesome. You know what would be really cool though? If they did some type of Dark Souls-ish move where you're doing a particular mission and you're in the middle of battle and a random renegade mech comes out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like it enters your game almost like Watch Dogs, like you invade somebody's game with a mech. And similar to what tell me that would not be hot. You invade somebody's game with a mech, right? You jump into that person's game and you load up, and that person's in the middle of battle, and everything changes. Like whatever that person's doing goes put on pause, and you have one-on-one battles with random people. If you win, you take their part. That would be fire, dope. Bro. That would be so dope. Like, say if they have like a laser, like a Gatling gun or a laser beam cannon that you don't have, and it's an upgrade over something you have, and they're a higher level, but you wind up beating them because maybe they don't have a mech that has a lot of armor, and you beat them, and you have a selection of parts you could take off that mech, and you take like their best weapon. What? Dude, how sick would that be? But the risk reward has to be high, and it has to be almost like, it has to be to a point to where if you went into the game and you lost something, maybe it's not your best part, but it's like your second best, like your secondary or something like that. Because what you could end up doing is you could say like your part, like you could have something like, okay, you could allocate part of your defenses to protecting a certain part, so you don't lose that one, but everything else is up for grabs. Right. So like you can only choose one part. Like if you're going to choose something, you put money into your secondary, or you put money into your main powerful weapon. You can protect that, but everything else is up for grabs. Like if you got a jetpack or a rocket pack or a hover ability, that other mech can take it and implement it to itself, bro. Oh my God. This is why gamers should be developers. I don't know why I feel like developers aren't gamers. I feel like they spend, no, seriously though, I feel like they spend so much time making games that they are not creative enough to, like, you understand what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I think they're definitely creative enough, but I think like it's that developer publisher relationship where, like, you know, we've seen like a lot of times where developers have like crazy ideas to us, but you know, when they go shoot it to a publisher, they're like, nah, I'm not funding that. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely some creativity out there. I just don't know if, you know, the publishers are gamers, you know what I mean, to actually look at it and be like, yo, that'll sell.
You know, I was listening to someone, a guy on Twitter called Forget Amnesia, Doc, who shows up on a couple other shows and circuits. He's one of the developer. And he was talking about the gaming industry is about to hit right before like the movie renaissance, where back in film, you had a bunch of people who were just kind of pioneering the circuit. People who movies didn't exist when they were kids, but they were just making movies, trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work. And then after that, they had a whole group of new filmmakers who were growing up on all these movies who were like, yo, it will look really cool. What if we did this instead in the movie? What if we did something like this? and then they made movies because they love movies. And I think
Right.
in games, the gaming industry is, well, really about what, like 20, 30 years old? People who have grown up with games since they were born, and they're getting into the age of being developers.
Right.
And we're about to hit some really good people finally getting in the market to make good games.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it, but I just feel like the creativity just isn't there because the demand to make games, like the hours and you understand what I'm saying? Like the hours and the grueling grinding of making a game just makes you worn out and drawn out. I look at Scalebound, and when Hideki talked about Scalebound, like how his imagination was just running, like everything he wanted. He's been thinking about making a Dragons game since he was a kid, since he was young, since he first came in the industry, and never could figure it out and never could find the right time to do it. And it's unfortunate what happened to Scalebound and its development. But at the same time, it's like, you know, we never get those creative games. We always get the games where it's not as different from something else that we've already played because it's safe and you want to make money and stuff like that. And if you don't do well, it's a possibility you may never make another game with that publisher. You may lose your job. There's a lot of things that can happen. So I don't think people are creative because they're afraid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, but I also think it got a lot to do with the publisher. I mean, you got to think, like, we look at Remedy and how they were shopping around Alan Wake, and like nobody wanted to pick it up. And I'm sure they had like, some really great ideas with that, but it just never got picked up. So you see that like time and time again where like, years down the line, they were like, oh, well, we were working on this. We had some great concepts or whatever, but we couldn't find anybody to publish the game. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's definitely a little bit of both. I mean, if you're working on a single game for 5 years, I'm pretty sure that's like mentally draining, you know what I mean? And you're not thinking about what else you could be doing. But I think it kind of works a little bit both ways, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft cannot put me in charge of Xbox, bro. They'd be like, yo, you blew your whole budget the first day you started. I'd be like, yo, I just racked up every single game you could think of. First of all, I put like $100 million on Star Wars #1. I don't care what Disney's talking about, whatever it is, I'm buying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I would have brought back so many franchises as a gamer. They'd be like, this is your budget. I'd be like, no, it's not. You need to raise that budget immediately. Do you understand what we're going through right now? I would like it'd be insane. But
Foul, we should be looking at is what Phil was pointing out earlier today. Well, not today. It's actually it was yesterday. He said something I found really interesting. Let me pull it up real quick. He said like this year was like the only year where there's no Halo, there's no first-person Halo, there's no Gears, something like that. This is all secondary IP stuff. This is all new stuff. And
I was so glad that he actually said that. You know what I mean? Because this is something that, I've been talking about since we started this podcast. Like, when are we going to get to the point where people can stop saying they only make Gears, they only make Halo, they only make Forza? Like, let these other IPs shine. Like, they got so many in the bag, you know what I mean, that they can pull out and revitalize. I think right now is the perfect time. You know what I mean? We kind of lost one of the bigger ones that, a lot of people were looking forward to. So I think if you can kind of revitalize, some old IPs and even bring some new stuff to the table, it actually would, open up the umbrella a little bit for Microsoft as far as the games that they usually put out. And I think that's nothing but a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's just funny. I was just watching the comic section. Shout out to Foul, excuse me. And Foul said something like it would be cool if they had mechs that were I guess you could say themed after some Microsoft IPs. And I just got to thinking, like, how dope would it be? Not if it was themed, but there were themed weapons. Like you had the Gears chainsaw, or if you had the Halo Spartan laser. You know what I'm saying? One of those type of things. I think that'd be pretty cool, man. I'm not even gonna lie, that'd be dope. But yeah, hey, while we're here, man, first of all, I want to appreciate everybody stopping in. 41 people watching right now. Please give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and share that out to your respective groups. We greatly appreciate your support and greatly appreciate you stopping in at 11:30 at night on the East Coast. Definitely appreciate it. So It's just funny that he brought that up. Now, Phantom Dust is supposedly possibly coming out before then. Now, I'm no fan of remasters. I don't know how many times I've said this. I don't like remasters for a number of reasons, but I've never played Phantom Dust. So for me, I may pick it up, but it has to play. It has to feel like a next gen game. Like if you do a remaster of a game from OG Xbox, you think about what we have on the regular Xbox One now, button wise, with the triggers and everything we got with the Xbox One and the way we play with it. And you think about the OG Xbox, I want to be able to use my controller based on what I can do now, not what I could do then. And that's what I'm hoping that they do, that they maybe revamp the engine, whatever they can do to truly remaster the game, they truly remaster it and not just throw a coat of paint on it. You understand what I'm saying?
Man, yeah. You got to remember, this is Microsoft. Our remasters are.
I thought we were Sony.
A lot closer to remakes. So I think if they were going to do it, they would definitely do it right, and I think it'll feel and play very well. So hopefully, if we look at the past, then they would definitely do it the same way they've done their previous titles.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's definitely interesting. I don't know much about Phantom Dust other than what Ken Lobb told us when he came on the show. I definitely want to do more investigation on it. But, you look at what Microsoft is talking about right now. You're talking about what they may show off at E3. We already spoke about rumors of a Perfect Dark. Some of us are hearing that Perfect Dark may be at E3. We've been hearing rumors about Battletoads possibly being at E3. Perfect Dark as a AAA title and Battletoads as a digital title, which to me makes sense because it's a beat 'em up. You make it third person action adventure game, side scrolling or something like that. Try to make it as respectable and as good as possible. We had a conversation though about difficulty because we've always known that Battletoads it's always been a difficult game. Like even if you put it on normal, bro, you were dying like 100 times. So putting it on hard, you were dying like 1,000,000,000 times. So I don't know if people can play those games anymore, as a beat 'em up where games become so frustratingly annoying that you just like, what, I give up on this game and I quit. Especially in today's games where so many games are actually easy on normal.
Yeah, it's true. I would want them to keep the difficulty just because like it harkens back to what the game was all about at the time. But if they eased up a little bit, I guess that wouldn't be too bad either. As long as they had like, I wish they would just put in like an OG mode almost to where like it would be just as difficult or pretty similar to the original franchise.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if Battletoads could exist in this world anymore.
Why?
I mean, they've done hints and clues and stuff. Like I had never played Battletoads at any level, at least not to that level.
Man, if Activision keep dropping them trash ass Ninja Turtle games.
I played the arcade TMNT. Yeah, I played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I was more of an X-Men, Capcom kind of guy, playing at the messing around, having a good time, like over at the arcade. But that was pretty much it. Like I don't know. My experience is basically Shovel Knight, which I played last year.
Right.
But I'm like,
I mean,
yeah. I don't like. I think it's a cult classic kind of thing, and that's always great. But I don't see it being this this big, really important thing.
You had an SNES as a kid?
No,
bro. You have no idea. If Nintendo comes out with an SNES Mini, you buy that console, Anchor. You understand what I'm saying?
I have an NES now,
bro. Then you need to pick up some game. First of all, Ninja Turtles was the greatest on the SNES. Turtles in Time was amazing to me. It was absolutely amazing. It was a great game. And Battletoads was absolutely amazing as well. But it was very difficult. Even on the NES, it was super hard. And Turtles on the NES was great as well. Turtles Take Manhattan, excellent game. But it's just funny because it's like, I think the game could manage. You give it a good coat of paint graphically. You make sure that it's 3-player co-op. But the problem I think that they can't fall into with Ninja Turtles is that the difference between Ninja Turtles and the difference between Battletoads is that Battletoads is straight comedy. You know, everything about Battletoads wasn't serious. Ninja Turtles was cool. Cowabunga, eating pizza, fighting mech. What are those like little mech
The little I forget the name of them, but the little robots.
The little robots on the floor, and you got Baxter, and you throwing the Foot Clan at the screen. You know, that's pretty cool. But in Battletoads, like they didn't take themselves seriously. Big giant boots with spikes on them, battering rams for a head. It was awesome, but it was hard
crazy
as
little
hell.
slaps and stuff.
Yeah, like it was mad cool. It was like an action Toe Jammer Earl. It was like really cool, but you know, if they can keep that essence, if they can keep that humor and put out a good quality game as a beat 'em up, just something you beat in a day. It doesn't have to be a $40 game. Make it $20. You know, make it $29.99. Give 5 or 6 hours and make a co-op, man. It will sell. I think it would do great. It'd be an amazing game. And then you just support it with like DLC, you know, little things here and there, like little stages, bonus bosses or whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool if they were able to do that. I just find it very interesting, but Microsoft, they have a ton of IPs. We talked about this I don't know how many times, a billion times. They really need to start attacking their own IPs. If Phil is serious about wanting to be like Nintendo, you know what I'm saying, and that's somebody you want to look after. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the difference between Nintendo and Microsoft is that Nintendo, first of all, they have amazing IPs, and when it comes to first party, they are like second to none. But at the same time, they don't get a lot of third-party support. And one of the things that we fear today, and a lot of people talking about, oh, the Switch will last, I don't know. Because with the Pro and with Scorpio coming out, and eventually you're moving on beyond those consoles to something that is more powerful, I just feel like Nintendo will always be a step behind. So with Microsoft and PlayStation, you'll always have that top of the line third party support. And I don't know if you'll have that for Nintendo 2, 3, 4 years down the road when Switch is still available and Scorpio and Pro is in their prime. So I don't know if they'll have that. And because of that, that's where I think Microsoft has an advantage, because unlike PlayStation, they have more platformers. They own more platformers than PlayStation. They have that those creative IPs. People tend to forget how many freaking games Rare owns. How many games they own is like absolutely insane. Microsoft's PC portfolio is absolutely insane, and none of those games are coming to the Xbox console. And I don't know why, but if Phil is serious, he really needs to look at that portfolio of what they have at Rare, just like they did Killer Instinct. Try to find a third-party developer that's actually going to do the goddamn game, get the games out, and give them to the public, because we're all fiending for all of these games to come back.
Yeah.
All right.
I totally agree. But I would not put it with third party though. I would rather Microsoft work on their second party dudes.
Dude, Microsoft is broke.
The second party guys hey, we found you. You sign an exclusivity contract with us for like maybe 5 to 6 years, make a couple of games, and you build up a new studio who then goes into the workplace with experience and is benefiting everyone.
Let me just explain what I mean by Microsoft is broke. I didn't really mean to say Microsoft is broke. Xbox is broke. And what I mean by that, and I truly feel like this, I truly absolutely feel like this, Microsoft is on a leash. I keep saying Microsoft. Xbox is on a leash, and I just feel like they're on a budget. That's what I feel. And I feel like they can't exceed it.
You got to remember, Scalebound was in development for 4 years or whatever the case is. So that's probably $50 million lost on that development. How long were they developing Fable Legends? And they end up closing that studio. So that could be another $50 million loss. So that's $100 million lost right there. You know what I mean? So like, I would think they would probably be on a little tighter leash, and they have to perform. You know what I mean? So I think the coming years will be telling as more games get released and more games get announced. What they're actually doing at Microsoft and how tight that leash is.
Mm-hmm. Bro, Balmer and Matrick was Animal House, bro.
Oh yeah,
That's what it was.
definitely.
Balmer was like, you want this? Here, take it. Here's $500,000. Here's X amount of $1,000,000. Dom was like, thanks, throw money at it. It was just launching money at every developer publisher you could think of. I'm gonna buy it. We can't make it, we'll buy it. Oh, we can't get it for an entire year. We'll take 30 days. We can't get 30 days. We'll take a week. Oh, we can't get a week. We'll take 24 hours. He didn't care. Like it didn't matter. As long as 360 had the advantage, they were doing it. It didn't matter if it was time exclusive or not. They were doing it. They were throwing money at everything. And it worked. It worked for a long period of time, but I believe Red Ring of Death, and then that eventually hurt them first party wise. Not something you want to do overall. This time around, it feels like these guys are like, Alpha Psi Mega with the all, the calm, nerdy type dudes where it's like Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella. They're thinking about expansion, how to expand, how to get more gamers into Xbox besides just console gamers, getting the PC guys onto the Xbox. I guess you could say bandwagon with the service part of Xbox being on PC. As well as enticing the Xbox guys by giving them a premium console with Scorpio and keeping them on consoles. But now they're trying to invest in first party a little bit more. But I just don't feel like they have the finances to do what they used to do. The marketing budget isn't the same. The amount of games they're pumping out isn't the same. The third-party deals are dead. And yeah, you can attribute that to PlayStation being the highest selling console and having a larger install base. You can attribute that to that as well. But I think people tend to forget Microsoft has some great marketing deals. They had Witcher, they had Fallout, they had Titanfall. There were a few titles. You had Dead Rising. There were a few AAA titles that they had that were really big last year and a few years prior. I don't know if they'll have that again unless a new Skyrim comes out. If they show like a new Elder Scrolls come out, they show something like that, I'll be blown away. I'll be blown away because I'm not expecting a new Elder Scrolls at all. But they definitely need to focus on first party. And if Sony wants to do the third party marketing thing, to let them. Because right now, Sony does have that on Smash. I give that to them. But Microsoft definitely needs to improve first party in both studio and portfolio and bring back what they have, honestly. All right, so we're going to move on. Titanfall. Somebody asked the Titanfall dev today if he was going to put Titanfall 2 on a Switch. And he replied, I'm not quoting this word for word. This is what our team reported over on www.ticgn.com. Go there right now and go ahead and support, sign up. This guy says they're not putting Titanfall on no effing Twitch, basically, in a nutshell. And it's crazy that he would say that. Now, someone says he was drunk. At the end of the day, my man said he's not putting Titanfall on no effing Switch. I don't even know what that means, but that's not good. If you have a developer like that for Titanfall 2, who is probably one of the biggest titles out there, one of the best shooters out there, saying they're not putting it on Switch, they're not dealing with Switch or at any time for any reason, that's crazy. That's a big deal. And again, it goes back to me wondering, will Switch, as amazing of a console it is as a hybrid, and all the first party titles and deals that they got going on right now, that looks amazing. Will it have the longevity to get the third party support it's supposed to?
The thing was with the Switch, and looking at from the perspective of Titanfall, I was a big advocate for Titanfall. I don't see Titanfall even being on the Switch at any level, because it's such a I can see maybe not the multiplayer, the single player, but like the multiplayer is way too intense for the Switch to handle. And not just that, but like you got to connect with other people all at the same time. And I can understand them being really skeptical of, a network that hasn't been tested.
Right.
So I'm not surprised, at least about that. We'll see if that means anything in the future, but I can totally understand why they're coming from.
I mean, when I look at the comment, it's just like, I think developers should definitely humble themselves when they talk about platforms that could be on. because Titanfall already had to deal with the whole fiasco earlier in the year with the blue disc, green disc, red disc, two fish, whatever, you know what I mean, nonsense they were dealing with earlier this year, you know what I mean? So like, and now to come out and be like, nah, we're not touching that. Like, didn't your game like get destroyed? Like nobody was touching it. It was on sale for like 4 or 5 weeks straight because like nobody was touching your game. Like, chill out, man. You know what I mean? Like from that perspective. But as far as like games like that being on a Switch, like I could never imagine like EA putting like Battlefield on a Switch or like Activision putting like Call of Duty. I was talking to someone earlier, and I think like the Switch shouldn't like try to go after like the big AAA games as far as like
but
shooters
that's
and
not
stuff
good.
like that. But
that's not good though.
What they have to do is hit like that mid-tier, like the mid-tier stuff. So like if they can get like Ubisoft's, like if they get like South Park or like games like that, you know what I mean, on a Switch, they can still survive with their first party stuff and still have some great, like a great third party library. I don't think
like a game like a Sniper Elite 4, like that AA market.
Yeah, they gotta attack that and kind of close in on that rather than be like, oh, well, you can play Battlefield. Like you don't want to play like Mass Effect, like the janky Mass Effect that they put on the Wii U. You know what I mean? Like you would never be like, all right, I'm gonna go get the Mass Effect 4 for a Switch, because like it's, to be honest with ourselves, like we know it's not gonna run properly. So like, why even be like, waste of time to put it on there, and nobody buys it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like I think if they cornerstone like the AAA market or the AA market, that would be where they get like their third party support. And as long as they have the great first party stuff, it becomes more attractive. You know what I mean?
I feel like, go ahead, B.
No, I mean, I just don't see them like, this holiday, like we got Red Dead Redemption, like come play Red Dead Redemption on Switch. Like I just don't see that in their future.
I feel like this relegates them back to just being a second tier console. And if you ask those guys, do you feel like your console is just to be a companion console? They would tell you no. But to me, they don't build a console that's not a companion console. No one is picking a Switch. Like when you start looking at these big titles and these open world games, no one is looking like. Could you imagine like when first of all, right now, I know this game may not come out this year, but if it does, one of my most anticipated games besides Mass Effect is Cyberpunk 2077. And I've never.
That's not coming out. I know. But that's going to be like the most anticipated game of anybody when that game.
That's what I'm saying. I've never played a Witcher game, but I won't say never played a Witcher. I don't like Witcher. I don't like Witcher at all. I don't like Witcher. I played Witcher 2 and I didn't like it. So I didn't play Witcher 3.
You don't like the gameplay, or you don't like coming into the story late?
No. I didn't like the gameplay. And I didn't like that I felt lost. Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was stumbling to something that was way above my pay grade. Like I shouldn't be here. But there was nothing to tell me that I shouldn't be here. It was just weird the way it was set up. And like an open world game like that, I want to explore and level up. But I don't want to explore to the point to where, okay, I know that I shouldn't be in this area. Like at least in Final Fantasy, I know I shouldn't be in this area right now. So let me go to this area and stay over here. And that, I didn't feel like it. So it threw me off. So I didn't like it. But everybody's telling me that Witcher 3 is different. But Cyberpunk 2077 just looks, it's no gameplay, but just the trailer alone and knowing the pedigree that CD Projekt Red is based off of Witcher 3 and what I've been hearing about it. And just as a company, I'm really anticipating this game and hoping that it's not too much like Witcher because it's more in a futuristic cyberpunk setting. So I'm excited about that. And a game like that, if I'm a Nintendo guy, right? I'm a Nintendo guy. All I play is on the Nintendo console. I would still want a game like that on my console as a third party because I'm a Nintendo guy. The Nintendo faithful shouldn't feel like they can't get these games because they're relegated to this weak console. And to me, they don't stand up enough and fight. The Xbox guys would fight. The PlayStation guys would fight. The Nintendo dudes just take it, bro. I can't say what I want to say because this is a family-friendly show, but I'm just telling you, they don't fight, bro. They just take it. And to me, that's not cool. If I'm them, I'm fighting tooth and nail to get a console as powerful on the level as the PlayStation and the Xbox, along with the first-party titles that they have and the third-party support that they are also getting. For some apparent reason, Nintendo seems to fail at grasping that. They want to try to grab what they did with the Wii U, and they want to try to grab what they did with the DS. And in each instances, they're failing. They're going to fail because it doesn't have the battery life to support itself like the DS. Number one, you're still selling the DS as a handheld and still promoting that as a console, and it's not a powerful enough console to compete. And the online is atrocious. That is the worst thing I've ever heard. Using a phone app is atrocious, bro.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't know if that's long term. Like I said, I want more information from them, but like if that's the long term solution, hell no.
Yeah, I think
it's a bonus, sure. Like, hey, yeah, you can use your phone if you want to talk to people too. Like, all right, cool, but there's no on console service. What am I paying for?
Yeah, see that I think that's the biggest problem with like the Switch right now. Is even during that presentation that they showed, like they didn't even show the system. You know what I mean? To like show you like what the UI is, how to actually interact with it, like what our online system is set up, you know, how it's set up, and you know how you can chat with other players, how you connect with other players. Like if there's a reward system, like we still don't know. Like, and every interview, like Reggie just puts out these little breadcrumbs, like, oh well, this is going to happen or that's going to happen, and you know, stay tuned. You know, we have more information coming. It's like the console releases in 5 weeks. Like, how much more information are you going to give me before like it's time to purchase it? You know what I mean? Like all this stuff should have been explained during the presentation, or you know, right thereafter that. You know what I mean? Put out, you know, all these bullet points of like, yes, our console does this, our console does that. Yes, we do online. This is how you interact with other players. No, we don't have Street Pass. No, we don't have Miiverse, but we have this reward system. All these virtual console, you know, games transfer over. Like none of that stuff has been explained, and I don't understand why they haven't done that. And I think that's their biggest problem right now. Like everybody's, you know, we hear or you know we see these news articles of the little bit of information that comes out, and like everybody's furious about it because like we don't know what's going on. Like, of course, chatting on your phone, it sounds ridiculous. Like, no, I'm not picking up my phone to call somebody like, yo, meet me on Splatoon 2. Like that's ridiculous. But they need to, you know, put more information out about what the console actually does and what it's going to offer, and stop just putting out these little breadcrumbs, because that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I don't get it. And then the thing that killed me is like you have the online situation. Then you're talking about you're not even giving the console a rechargeable pack for those Joy-Con sticks. They got to buy separately. The Pro controller is $70. Those Joy-Cons are $70. This is insane.
Yeah, like they're offloading the cost.
It's insane. And the console is already probably overpriced as it is. So it's just weird to me, man. Like we were really high on it when we first saw it, and I'm still high on it because of what they presented as first party and everything looked fun and looked exciting. But it's what comes with it that turns it off, and that's not a good look on Nintendo. They really need to figure it out. They really need to figure it out. I don't know who's in charge, but it's not Reggie. I just feel like he doesn't. I just feel like that team does not know what they're doing. They want to continue to be niche in all of their fans. And look, it's great that you want to introduce new people, young people to Nintendo, and keep it family friendly. But they focus so much on Japan. And to me, Japan's not carrying them. Japan's not bigger than the West. It's just not. It's not bigger than Eastern Europe. It's not bigger than Western Europe. Is not bigger than the United States. You're not going to get 10 million sales out of Japan like that. Like it has to be a combined effort worldwide for that console to really take off. This is why they're failing.
Sony realized that too. Like they still deliver some of the smaller like JRPG type games, like the games that gets Japan involved, but they realize the focus is on the West. The West buys the games. Then most of the games now have been westernized. Those are their top selling games. And so they've realized this, and that's great.
Right. Before we finish this topic, I just want to say something because somebody said something in the comment. And like, again, we all see the Nintendo Switch as a secondary console, but being known as a secondary console is not a good thing. That's the problem. Because if you looked at a secondary console, do you say, you know what, I'll wait. I'll put it off. It's okay. I'll get it eventually. And then you have enough people doing that because, no, I'm going to get the Xbox Scorpio. No, I'm going to get the PS4 Pro. No, I'm going to get the Xbox One. No, I'm going to get the PS4, especially considering the Slim has a 4K Blu-ray player for the same price, and the PS4 is the PS4 Slim at the same price. You think about third-party support, how powerful the consoles are, actually more powerful than the actual Switch itself. And people have to really consider, what are they really purchasing with Nintendo besides the hybrid availability, and then the Joy-Cons flexibility from going to a motion controller to being an actual controller and things like that. When you start looking at those things, Nintendo falls short and they become a second tier console. And you don't want that, because second tier consoles don't sell. They're second tier. You want to be first tier, like a PlayStation or an Xbox. You want to be something that somebody says, I want to get, or I got to buy X amount of consoles because my family wants them. You don't want to be something that someone is picking up later in the year or next year or the year after, or when it drops in price. You don't want that. So that's why it's not a good look for them to be looked at as a companion console, because you could always wait for a companion console. All right, so we're going to move forward. Listen, Resident Evil 7 is coming out. I shouldn't even be talking about this topic because I don't plan to buy the game because I don't like scary games.
And you can't even play mildly scary games.
Bro, I can't even attempt to play. Like, I'm struggling. I haven't even started The Last of Us yet. Because
are you that timid?
I'm not. Well, first of all, I'm not timid in real life. I mean, at least when it comes to being a man. But when it comes to games, like, I can watch horror movies. Like, my favorite, well, it's not a horror movie, but one of my favorite sci-fi movies is Aliens. And it's not really scary to me. I just love the action aspect of it. And it can be jump scary because the aliens, they blend in with things and they creep out and they get you with the tail and stuff. But overall, it's not scary. Freddy Krueger's and the Jasons and the horror joints aren't scary. You know what does scare me? Things with demons and ghosts. I can't deal with that. Like, you know, stuff like was like The Lady in the Window, or whatever it is called, or like stuff like oh my god, what is the name of these movies? The Conjuring. Like, I can't watch stuff like that, bro. That's too much. Spirits taking over bodies, and there's nothing you can do. Like, how do you fight a spirit, bro? At least with the other characters, you can physically hit them and hurt them, or try to kill them, blow them up, something. But okay, I'm off topic. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, Resident Evil 7 is coming out, and it's going to be a play anywhere title. This is a big deal for Xbox. Microsoft hasn't had a lot of play anywhere titles, meaning that if you buy this game digitally for Xbox One, you get a free copy on Windows 10 PC. And this game more than likely will be at 4K at some point, 60 frames per second on PC. That's a big freaking deal, because that means that game more than likely will be 4K, 60 frames per second on Scorpio. And if Microsoft continues with this third-party support, and they continue to get people to buy in on this, you know, buy one game, get two licenses, one for Xbox, one for PC, Microsoft may be onto something, and this little thing that they've been trying to build for so long may finally take off.
Part of it, it's Capcom. What was the term we used the other night? It was they're the the studio on the street corner. They will do anything. Like,
yeah, Capcom is though. Yeah.
They'll do any deal for anybody. They don't care. They will do it. Like, I'm not surprised in the slightest that they're putting it on that. They're doing VR for Sony. It's, oh, you want to play anywhere? Ah, sure, why not?
Right.
Yeah, I think this is more of the relationship that Capcom has with Sony, rather than like just the big third party going in like, yo, we want to, you know, jump on this play anywhere thing. So I'm interested to see what happens with this in upcoming like future games, if, you know, any third party, you know, marketing deals or anything like that kind of sways more third parties to go ahead and put their games on Play Anywhere. Because I think it's definitely a big deal. It's definitely a big help to Microsoft. You know what I mean? And it encourages, you know, probably more Xbox gamers to go ahead and pick up the game if they can, you know, play it anywhere, you know what I mean? Kind of play it on PC or Xbox. Right. That's a benefit to them. So it kind of helps everybody all the way around. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the near future with this Play Anywhere.
I agree. I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of Play Anywhere because I don't play on PC. I have a laptop. I don't even have a desktop currently. I do plan to get one at some point. But I have a laptop, and honestly, I'm pretty sure my laptop can run the games. It's not overly powerful. I don't know what it does graphically, anything like that. All I know is that I needed an i7 processor for what I do editing wise. But at the same time, if if it's capable to run something, I would play it if I was away. But more often than not, I don't, and I don't think a lot of Xbox fans do that either. But it is a benefit if you do take advantage of it. Right now, Resident Evil 7 and Call of Duty, is it Infinite Warfare?
Yeah,
Infinite Warfare.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare are Windows 10 titles. I can't think of any other third-party titles right now, but just those two games alone, will be 4K 60 on Scorpio when it drops. And this is significant. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when it comes to support for Scorpio, whatever hits Windows 10, listen, and this is the God's truth. Listen to what I'm saying. If it hits that Windows 10 store and it's running 4K 60 on PC, that is what you will get on Scorpio. That is exactly what they are saying. What you're getting right now at 4K 60 on a PC running on Windows 10 is exactly what you're going to get on Scorpio at the same stats, at the same specs. So it's crazy that Resident Evil 7 is on there, and I'm hearing a lot of great things about Resident Evil 7. Again, not my cup of tea, not something I'm going to get. I still harken back to those days when I first played Resident Evil, and I couldn't hit that damn dog when it jumped through the window. That made no sense. I shot everything but that dog. I shot the wall, the floor. I hit everything but that dog and lost my head to what was that thing that cut your head off? The little gremlin goblin thing, bro. That camera angle killed me, bro. I remember the exact scene. I'm playing the game. It's late. And I'm walking down the hallway and I make a right. And as soon as I make a right, bro, there's that like goblin with the long claw just standing there. And I back up, and the camera pans back down the hallway because it wasn't a camera that followed you; it was set on angles, bro. That thing cut my head off. My head just rolled. I turned the console off. I didn't even save it. I didn't even attempt to save it. I just turned it off and just gave up. I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. Resident Evil is insane. Why am I playing this game? It doesn't make any sense. I just hate the intensity of horror games because like my palms get sweaty, my heart's pounding. It's quiet. I don't want to die. It's just insane with me when it comes to these games, bro. It's insane. It's why I stick to RPGs. I really do. Oh, that's just funny. But it would be great, man. More third-party support, hitting Windows 10, getting Play Anywhere deals, 2 licenses for one title is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And be able to take advantage of that is smart. So Microsoft has to use that leverage as much as they can.
Yeah. It's great for Microsoft. We got to see how third parties react overall to it, like whether it's something they're really going to be into. Because I mean, they're basically foregoing an extra sale, but then they also have to consider, Windows Store isn't that big. It's not that big a deal. Like it depends.
So, I definitely can see that. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft compensated them. Like honestly, on a low, like I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft was like, make 2 licenses, we'll compensate you for an extra game. Or whatever, depending on what the game is.
Or maybe give them a bigger cut out of the initial buy.
Maybe. Something like that. There's no way. And that's why I didn't get it at first either. I'm like, there's no way a third-party publisher would run with this. I said this before when it first got introduced. I said it makes no sense for a third-party publisher. Like this only works if you're Xbox and you're pumping out tons of first-party games. Because third-party wise, there's no benefit. Why would you sacrifice a sale on Windows 10 when you could get 2 sales out of 1 game? You know what I'm saying? There has to be some type of compensation to it. Capcom is the perfect sucker for this, though, because they just whatever money they can get, they just hop on. Like, seriously, that's how I feel.
Yes, master. What do you want? Like, I'll do it.
It's true, though.
We'll do it.
It's true, though. It really is. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, they'll do it at this point. It's just that's the Capcom way. I'm like so disappointed in Capcom. They're not even the Capcom I love. The Capcom I love is dead. It really is, unfortunately. Oh, man, that's funny. All right. So first and foremost, again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out. We're coming up close to the end of our show. And again, we have 43 people watching. I want to thank you guys for all your support. Please hit the thumbs up button. I don't care if you hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, as long as you are giving us a vote and sharing it out there or expressing your opinion. Everybody is free to their opinions. That's why Tick Podcast exists and why we're not like everybody else and why people do care about coming here to listen to us chat about games. Before we finish up, we're going to talk about Microsoft and the potential lineup or setup of what they have coming out this year prior to knowing what they're going to show at E3. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen at E3. A lot of people are basing the doubt that Microsoft will have anything at E3 just because they lost Scalebound, which in my opinion is asinine. I don't understand why people would think that. Clearly, Microsoft has been working on other titles or have other things up their sleeve. And I understand people only think they have 3 studios. But like I said, we don't know what third-party companies they're working with. Just like we didn't know they were working with Platinum. Don't be surprised if somebody else shows up at E3. And Phil is saying we're not getting anything like Gears or Halo. So I would expect something different at this year's E3, and I'm excited for it indeed. But right now, we're looking at what they're going to be dropping in the beginning of the year. So Halo Wars 2 comes out next month. That's going to be a huge title for the RTS fan base. PC Gamer came out and said it is a true real-time strategy game. I don't even know what that means. I don't play real-time strategy games. I don't know what that means. I don't play RTSs. Do you play RTSs, Anchor?
No. The first time I ever played an RTS was Halo Wars 2 at E3. I did never interested me. Not at all.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. What about you, B?
Nah, man, my dude Gio, he tried to get me into Halo Wars when it first came out. And I tried it, and it just wasn't for me, man. And I've never touched RTS since then.
Bro, I can't do RTSs, bro. It's not that I'm not into it. It's just like I don't have the patience to build and send and look. I can't do it. I played StarCraft back in the day, and it was fun for a while till you start getting overwhelmed. And you just like, yo, what is this game about? Honestly, why am I playing this? I'm getting off this game, and it's truly a PC gamer's dream. It's like really for the PC gamer. But if you're a PC guy that has an Xbox, then you will love that game. I really hope that the game does well, though. Overall, it's got some pretty good previews and some really good feedback from PC gamers who have played the game so far, except for those hardcore Master Race guys who still harp on it about Command and Conquer. Yeah, Command and Conquer. And they also harp on Age of Empires. And some other titles that they would rather Microsoft work on, Age of Empires and I forget the other game what it's called. The other game that they have besides Age of Empires and Myth of Empires? I don't know, something like that.
Something Empire.
Yeah, something Microsoft has. Or they rather have those games instead of Halo Wars. But whatever, man. To each their own, and Xbox is their biggest business. So hopefully it pleases the fans who are into RTSs. Moving on from that, if we're supposed to be getting a rebooted or remastered Phantom Dust, shall I say, not rebooted, but a remastered Phantom Dust before E3, where do you guys think that will drop?
It's coming out in April.
April would be a safe bet, especially because they haven't showed off anything about it. What I would guess, though, more realistically, is probably about May. It would come out right before E3.
I think April's a perfect spot too. I agree. And the reason why I say that is because you have Halo Wars in February. You have now really honestly, if I was them, they need to figure out what's happening with their indie games. The indie games that they are.
Where's Cuphead?
Cuphead's supposed to be coming out mid-2017, whatever that means.
Yeah,
that's what they put out
in August or something crazy.
Yeah.
But,
I've reached out to them. They told me that they were busy. They weren't able to do any interviews right now.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get them on the red carpet. I do got some stuff coming up though tomorrow, and I'll talk about that at the end of the show. But yeah, so nothing in March. Nothing in March right now. We talk about April. We could get. What if they release the remaster of Voodoo Vince in March? Does that drop in March? Would that be
March?
reasonable?
No, I would not drop it in March. March is
March is too crowded. March is ridiculously
Like,
crowded.
Yeah, that's right. Switch, Mass Effect comes out. Okay, no, scrap that. Scrap that.
Switch,
Right.
You got Legend of Zelda. You got Mass Effect. You got Styx. You
Yeah, no, you got a lot of stuff. I agree.
I think if like Voodoo Vince is just like a download title, like maybe like $20, $30 or whatever, they could release like Voodoo Vince and Phantom Dust probably like 3 weeks apart from each other. So like
Yeah,
it could probably
that
be,
could work.
like do like something around like Easter and then like maybe 3 weeks later or whatever the case is.
That would be dope, like an April May joint. Like you drop Phantom Dust in April and then drop Voodoo Vince around Easter in May. That'd be dope. Both at $30 a pop, or like like $29.99 a piece. That'd actually be reasonable.
Yeah,
I could see that. And you only skip a month from Halo Wars 2. You do Phantom Dust in April. You do Voodoo Vince in May. June is E3. Then we talk about the big boys. State of Decay. State of Decay comes out when? September?
We don't know exactly. They're just saying 2017.
They're gonna announce it at E3.
They'll announce it at E3.
It's either gonna be one of two things. It's either coming out in June or it's coming out in October.
I don't think State of Decay comes out that late though. Like I get the whole zombie Halloween thing.
It depends on the development of the game. If they are done, it's coming out June.
I've never seen Microsoft
right around the launch of the first game.
I've never seen Microsoft release a AA title around that time. They always release those AA titles early. Always. Like think about it. Rare Replay, Gears. Look, Gears
it's also a zombie game.
I get it.
And they're going 4-player this time, so it's not like the Summer of Arcade title like it used to be.
I know, but look, Rare Replay came out when in April or August. August or September.
That came out September, I believe.
So that came out September. They dropped Gears of War Remaster in August. The year before that, they always drop something in early August, September. It's not going to be Forza. Forza comes out in October, doesn't it?
I hope Forza doesn't come out at all.
I think Forza usually comes out in September.
Forza. Why would you say that? That's stupid.
I'm so tired of Forza, man.
We're all tired of Forza. But we know it's coming, bro. That's like saying, I hope this light don't turn red. You know it's going to turn red, bro. You can't run the red light. Like, just stop. So, okay, so Forza is September? You say Forza 7 September, State of Decay in October, Crackdown in November? What's the big title for November?
I would actually probably put State of Decay like maybe late August, and then
that's what I'm saying.
And then do Forza September, and then have Crackdown out before like Red Dead comes out and before like Call of Duty comes out. Like
if Microsoft
really push that before like the other big, because the other big AAA games are going to come out, mid-October, November. So. You got to kind of push your big first party game before like those other ones, start making some noise too.
Microsoft dead ass better release every single game they got before November. Like it's not even a game. Like if they haven't learned from Gears or what else came out in November in between some stuff that just didn't pop off, like Halo. Like if you haven't learned from those experiences when Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption, like all those games come out, I don't know when you're going to learn. Like seriously, they need to not release anything in November. Like as even for first party, and that goes for PlayStation too. Like it doesn't matter what main studio you are, you just don't mess with the big casual games. You just don't. Red Dead Redemption, a Rockstar title, you don't mess with any Rockstar titles. You don't mess with Call of Duty. You don't mess with Battlefield. 3 major games you don't mess with. So if I was them, I agree. Crackdown is in October. State of Decay comes out in August. Forza comes out in September. There's your 3 big titles, right? We don't know what else they're going to announce. So there could be some other titles in there. And then early on, you have Halo Wars 2, Voodoo, Phantom Dust Remaster in April, and Voodoo Fence in May. A bunch of indie games in between that, and hopefully they show off an impressive E3 with some new games for both for both this year and 2018. Because I feel this is Phil Spencer's E3. He's been in charge for 2 years. Some deals that he signed off on between him and Shannon Loftus as a team, whatever she's brought to the table and whatever he has agreed to sign off and give money for. This is their lineup. So I'm impressed. I hope whatever they show is impressive.
Yeah, and they've actually had the time for it actually to come out.
Sea of Thieves. I forgot all about Sea of Thieves. That's right. Sea of Thieves don't come out early. Sea of Thieves comes out way after E3.
I think they dropped Sea of Thieves.
I think that could be in August. I feel like that could be August because that's a great summer game.
It is a great summer game.
I think they drop it at E3. I think like they say, you can play this game in 3 weeks or whatever case it is, because there was some like back and forth whether it's going to be a free to play game or not, and they finally came out and said that it wasn't. So I think if they release it, in the summer, that's like a perfect time to do it.
Like I say, man, that's a great summer game, a huge co-op deal. Everybody's getting on to play. And, that would be a really fun game just to enjoy the summer with.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. So listen, this is what we're going with. We're talking about Microsoft's possible lineup. But listen, it's not as impressive as it was with when it had Scalebound in it, which probably would have been the big game for the year. Crackdown 3 still possibly could be a big title if what they are doing with cloud actually works, the cloud processing and 100% destruction online. Phil Spencer came out and said that it was the best Crackdown he's, I won't say the best, but it's the most fun he's ever had with any Crackdown title. And to me, yes, he's the head of Xbox, but
it's only been 2.
Has to promote the game. It's only been 2, but that's enough. I think 2 is enough.
I also hope that there's a cool story. You know what I mean? Like, give me a great campaign on Crackdown 3. Like, I know that they really want to focus on the multiplayer and the totally, destructible environments and things like that. But like, there's been so many people like, yo, when are we gonna get a story-driven game, or are we gonna get some great campaigns and things like that? So I think, if they at least have a pretty good one, it'll kind of satisfy people because, if we look at the lineup, there's not really any story-driven games there. So I think they kind of have to, be mindful of that as well.
I agree. I really hope Crackdown takes a cue from Grand Theft Auto and truly doesn't make it where the old Crackdowns were like, let's look at the map and attack this area. Let's go over here. Let's grab these orbs. Like, I truly hope that it has a true single-player experience where, there's a story behind it. You go from one area to the next area, and as you go to these different areas based on the story, you still collect orbs. You still do all these things that make your character awesome along the way, as you free roam. But at the same time, you're able to do the story aspect, and it unlocks more of the game as you explore. I think that'd be really great, and then you could take that character online to multiplayer.
Right.
So that way that character just isn't, like every other character. Everybody's character is different. Some characters jump high, some characters run fast, some characters hop in cars, and the cars transform based on their driving skill. Crackdown is a very interesting game. It's very unique, and I hope that it is very successful as well. I think it'd be really cool if they were able to do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, Sea of Thieves is one that I forgot all about. Sea of Thieves. That's pretty crazy. That is a title I think that they definitely need to drop in August. If they do that in August, then I think State of Decay goes in October with Crackdown. Absolutely. I think you do 2 games in October. You drop State of Decay close to Halloween. You drop Crackdown before that.
State of Decay in July if you felt like it.
They're not going to do no games in July. That's way too early. Summer's off.
I think games that succeeded in July.
I think
Last of Us drop in July, or was it June?
Yeah, it came out in June. It came out like literally like 3 days before E3 or something crazy like that. But I think like they really need to focus on their indies again too, because the ID Xbox program was like this huge program that they were focusing on at the beginning of the gen and the first couple of years. But like I think like the focus on it has kind of waned, and like people really aren't talking about the ID Xbox games as much. And I think they definitely still have some gems there. And I think like June or July, as long as games are ready, like bring back the Summer of Arcade. Like, I don't understand why that's not a huge focus. What I mean? Like, give us these 8 or 9 like crazy great games where, you know, if you purchase one, you get the, you know, discount on the next one or whatever the case is. Like, there's some really dope indie games out there that are pushing the boundaries of creativity, and they're not being, you know what I mean, highlighted like they should be. So I think they can really, you know, tune their focus on that as well. Because, you know we're going to see ID Xbox, you know, some representation at E3. So definitely, if games are ready, let's reel in the focus a little bit, bring back the Summer Arcade or at least something, you know, similar to it, and really, you know, kind of put those indie games in the forefront where, you know, you kind of have a drought as far as like your big AAA stuff. This can kind of compensate a little bit and bring people back to the Xbox.
Right. Well, that's it for our show this week, man. Great conversations with the team. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. You know, I was sitting up here saying to myself, you know, I don't know if doing a show at 11 o'clock would fly, man, because it's so late. But we got 51 people in here watching right now.
They rocking with us, man.
They rocking with us, man. That's what's up. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. I'm truly grateful. Before I head out of here,
man.
Yeah, the late show with Tick, man, talking about games, and more games. First and foremost, please check out ticgn.com. We just had a site revamp. The forums are open. One of the things that we plan to do starting next month is we will be giving away rewards to the people who join the site and comment and make forums and make posts. We'll be giving away a $20 gift card to the platform of your choice, whether PlayStation, Xbox, PC, whatever it is that you play on. We'll supply you with that. And we'll also be giving away some gifts. I have a ton of stuff from E3 that I still have not used. I got like 2 Persona 5 bags. I got a pair of Dead Rising 4 socks. I got some Recore shirts. Oh, man, I got some awesome lanyards. I got a ton of stuff that I don't use, and I'll just do that every year. Go to E3, collect some swag, bring it back, and just give it to the fans. So definitely go ahead on over, make some topics, share them out, get fans to join you in conversation and things like that. We have a reward system where every time you make a comment or you make a topic, you'll get points, and then eventually you'll level up. And I'm going to be adding actually a newer system that gives you quests and badges. This is going to be so sick. I'm going to be working on that all weekend. So definitely stop over at ticgn.com and give us support. Again, we have a new podcast coming out in February called The Trophy Life. It is our PlayStation podcast. It'll be similar to Tick Podcast, but everything PlayStation. So if you're a PlayStation fan, definitely tune into that. We have built a show to cater to the guys out there who love rocking with Tick but would like to hear more about PlayStation. You'll be able to hear that on the Trophy Life podcast, featuring Nicodemus, who is going to be the host of the show, as well as 3 other members of that particular team. And that comes out in February. And you'll be able to get all of our shows on iTunes starting in February with the new Tick Network stream. We'll still have Tick Podcasts if you just want Xbox content only, but on the new stream, you'll get the Double XP podcast led by Fame Entertainment, doing debate shows, Xbox versus PlayStation. You'll have Multiverse with Anchorman doing everything, comics, movie, games, multiplats. And then, of course, the Trophy Life for PlayStation, and, of course, Tick Podcast, Xbox. I hope that we're able to touch everybody and cater to everyone. It's really important that we do that to show that, yes, we're Xbox, but we're also gamers, and everybody's important to us. So thank you for your support and everything like that. You guys want to say anything else before we head out?
Now, all I got to say is, if you had Xbox Gold back about 2 years back and you have Styx Master Shadows, play this game. In March, Styx Shards of Darkness is coming out. It's the sequel. Please go play that game. It is a ton of fun. It is an actually stealth-based game. Thank God. It's a blast. It's hard. It's enjoyable. It's rewarding.
And again, we're giving away an Xbox One S 500 gigabyte console, which goes out in February. So if you want to try to win one, go ahead and sign up over on ticgn.com. Just do a search for it, and you can sign up there. And we're giving away a Nintendo Switch when that releases in March. So definitely go over to ticgn.com, sign up, comment, leave comments, do what you got to do, man. You could win. You could be a winner. You never know.
Yeah, and I'll
Hey,
just
guys.
say
Go ahead.
that you know, gamers, please make this year about games. You know what I mean? Definitely give a look at games that you probably wouldn't, take a chance on. And let's make this year about games. Let's start the conversations about games and different experiences. And let's not all buy the same games that we usually do. So go out there, give a developer a look that you probably wouldn't look at before, because definitely some unique titles coming out this year. So
Yeah, definitely a lot of titles that's caught my interest. I'm definitely interested in. And yeah, so that's it, man. That's it for the show this week. We will be back next week every Thursday night at 11 p.m. We'll try to get the show running at 11 p.m. This is our new thing that we're going to do. Super Pod Shots will try to make a return either Saturday or Sunday this weekend. Just try to get one in. And of course, if you listen to Tick Podcast, you want to try to catch this show, the cleaner version, on iTunes, you can just look up Tick Podcast as one word, and you'll find all our content in one place on the platform of your choice, as well as play it on Xbox on the Cast app or any podcast app. Just look up Tick Podcast as one word. I'm your host, KLRSKLL, the last on the planet Xbox, with B Money 101 and Anchorman V, and we're off this planet. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Peace.
See you.